Very good. Welcome back. Everyone have a seat. State card next witness.
State calls Captain Rob Staley. Rob Staley.
You stop right there, face the clerk. Swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear upon the testimony you are about to give in this cause is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Step up here, have a seat in the witness stand.
Have a seat.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Would you please state your name and spell both names for us, please?
Robert, R-O-B-E-R-T, last name is Staley, S-T-A-L-E-Y,
Sir, how are you employed?
with the City of Temple Terrace Police Department.
What is your current position with the Temple Terrace Police Department?
I'm the captain of the patrol division,
How long have you held that position?
a couple months,
How long have you worked for the Temple Terrace Police Department?
16 years.
And are you certified and sworn as a law enforcement officer pursuant to standards set by the state of Florida?
I am.
All right. I'm going to call your attention back to May of 2014. What position did you hold at that time with the Temple Terrace Police Department?
I was the corporal of the Criminal Investigations Unit.
Did you work with detectives in that unit,
Yes, I did.
such as Tom Carroll?
Yes, sir.
Did you also work with a Sergeant Mike Lowell?
Yes, I did.
And would he have been your supervisor?
Yes, sir.
On the early morning hours of May 17th, had you been called out and become involved in the search for Felicia Williams?
Yes, I did.
And then later that morning, still being the early morning hours, were you released to go home?
Yes, I was.
And then were you contacted just shortly thereafter, a couple hours later, to come back in?
Yes, sir.
And was that because the Temple Terrace Police Department was activating their entire CID unit?
Yes, sir.
That would be all the detectives.
Yes, sir.
Early that morning, before you went home to try to get some sleep, did you try to trace the route that you, or a route from the 8910 Tanglewood Lane apartments to the victim's residence on Ida Street in Tampa?
Yes, I did.
And how did you go about doing that?
Well, first we had searched around the apartment complex or the streets surrounding it, and on my way home, it was down 56th Street. 56th Street turns into 50th Street. 50th Street, you can make a right on MLK. Once I got near the victim's address, I circulated the area and was not able to locate her.
Okay. And on the way down, the route down, were you driving at a speed where you could try to observe the sides of the roadways and sidewalks and
Yes,
such?
sir.
Did you see any sign of Felicia Williams?
No, sir.
And when you said that 56, as you go south, becomes 50th Street, is that down in the city of Tampa?
Yes, sir.
So that's going to be outside of Temple Terrace at that point.
Correct.
And later on the 17th, and we're going forward now, between 3 and 4 o'clock p.m.,
Yes, sir.
okay, 1500 to 1600 military time on the 17th, did you attempt to make contact with the defendant?
Yes, I did.
And what number did you utilize to try to contact him on?
I used the 727 number. I can refer to my notes.
If you could, please.
His number is 727-288-3413.
Okay. And were you contacting him at that time under the name Trevor?
Yes, sir.
Is that the name that had been provided to you?
Yes, sir.
Were you able to actually make contact with him sometime before 4 o'clock?
Yes, I was.
And when you spoke with him, did you tell him you needed to talk to him?
Yes, sir.
And where did he tell you he was?
He told me he was in Thenodisassa.
All right. So he told you he was in Thenodisassa, and this is in the afternoon of the 17th.
Correct.
Did he give you a cross street that he was at?
301 in Williams.
And did he tell you that he had been involved in something that had occurred there?
Yes, he did.
What did he tell you?
He got involved in a traffic accident.
All right. And did he tell you because of that he couldn't come to meet with you?
He advised that he would meet with me, but it was going to be delayed because of that.
Okay. And did you offer to have officers come to a location that were simply minutes away from where he was?
Yes, sir.
And what location was that?
Well, after we got off the phone, can I backtrack a little bit?
Yes, absolutely.
Discussing the traffic accident. When I asked him where the traffic accident was, he said that he was just wrapping it up. So he was, saying that was all done. After that was concluded, then I asked him if he could meet with me at the Winn-Dixie at 301 in Fowler.
What did he indicate?
He said he was going to be there.
And did he give you a time period that he would be there?
Originally, he said it was going to be a couple hours, but I told him it was going to be urgent, so he said 15 minutes, which is plenty of time to get there.
So he had suggested to you that he would meet with you in a couple of hours?
Correct.
Did he agree to meet with you or other officers at the Winn-Dixie at 301 in Fowler?
Yes, he did.
And were you later advised he did not show up there?
Yes, sir.
Did you attempt to contact him again?
I did.
And was that at approximately 4:23 p.m.?
Yes, it was.
All right. And were you able to make contact with him at that same phone number, the 288-3413 number?
Yes, sir.
And when you spoke with him, can you tell us the conversation? What happened in the conversation?
He said that he had to drop off someone, a female, and I told him that we really needed to meet with him. Eventually, we had discussed meeting near said he was going to be near the intersection of Hillsborough and Nebraska. So that's when I informed him to meet me at the Discount Auto Parts that's located near that intersection.
All right, so he told you that he would be at Nebraska and Hillsborough. Did he tell you he'd be there in about 45 minutes?
Yes, sir.
And were you later advised that Hillsborough County deputies had gone to that scene at the Discount Auto Parts to wait for him?
Yes, sir.
And at some later time, was he brought to the Temple Terrace Police Department from that scene?
Yes, sir.
And were you also told that deputies from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office had gone to the the Fowler and 301 intersection, the Winn-Dixie there,
Yes, sir.
and that the Lexus and the defendant driving the Lexus never showed up?
Correct.
During your interview of the defendant, and you did participate in the videotaped interview,
Yes, I did.
did he admit to you that he had lied about the accident that he had had at 301 in Williams?
Yes, he did.
When he told you he had to drop off a female when you contacted him the second time, was he still indicating to you that he was in Hillsborough County somewhere?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to call your attention, I believe it's the 19th. Did you and Detective Carroll, at the time, who's now retired, did you all go out and make contact with a Nathan Teal down in the city limits of Tampa?
Yes, we did.
I want to confirm that time, that date. Okay. Actually, I'm going to call your attention to May 26, 2014. Was that the day that you went to 3210 Lindell Avenue?
Yes, sir.
And you came into contact with Nathan Teal?
Yes, sir.
All right. And did you participate in an interview of Mr. Teal with Detective Carroll?
Yes, I did.
All right. Did Mr. Teal provide his cell phone to you, and were you able to view his call logs from May 16th of 2014?
Yes, sir.
And did you see Miss Ebony Wiley's phone number on that call log where she had contacted Mr. Teal?
Yes, sir.
And was that the 813-900-1494 number?
Yes, sir.
On May 22nd, and this is what I was originally going to ask you about, on May 22nd of 14, did you and Detective Carroll travel to a residence in the city of St. Petersburg and make contact with Kelissa Kelly?
Yes, we did.
And was that, in fact, at her parents' residence?
Yes, sir.
And was she interviewed?
Yes, she was.
And after that interview, did you all travel, you and Detective Carroll, to a local Insta-loan business in
Yes, I
St.
did.
Petersburg? And were you provided with a video camera from the Insta-loan manager?
It was a digital camera, yes.
I'm sorry, not a video camera, a digital camera.
Yes, sir.
And did you take that with you back to the Temple Terrace Police Department?
Yes, I did.
And were photographs downloaded off of that phone?
Yes, they were.
And was off of the camera?
Yes, sir.
The digital camera. And was the digital camera then taken back and given back to Insta-loan?
Yes, sir.
I'll show you, it's been marked as states M-A 1 through 5. Those appear to be photographs that were downloaded off of that digital camera from the Insta-Loan company.
Yes, sir.
Based on your interview of Ms. Kelly, did you and Detective Carroll travel to 48 25th Avenue South in St. Petersburg?
Yes, sir.
And did you observe a residence there and an area behind the residence or on the side of the residence?
Yes, sir.
Was it an alleyway?
Yes, sir.
Was the alleyway an alleyway that would have been wide enough for a car to drive through?
Yes, sir.
And would the car, a normal-sized car, sedan, have clearance on both sides?
Yes.
All right. Captain, I'm showing you what's been marked as states K, as in kilo, KK. Do you recognize the photographs?
Yes, sir.
What's depicted in the photographs?
The alleyway, yes.
Is that the way it appeared when you and Detective Carroll traveled there?
Yes, sir.
Was the alleyway near any bodies of salt water?
No, sir.
And were there any mangrove trees that you saw in that alleyway?
No, sir.
Are you familiar with mangrove trees?
Yes, I am.
Your Honor, our tender states KK.
No objections.
Admitted,
Who's to publish?
yes.
States KK1. States KK2. States KK3. States KK4. Captain, when you traveled and were in the area of that alleyway and driving, did you actually drive a car through there?
That's my car right there.
Okay. At the end or the top of the photograph?
Yes, sir.
All right. So right here?
Correct.
All right. And you said earlier it appeared there would have been plenty of clearance for a car to drive through there?
Yes, sir.
Did there appear to be any vegetation, whether it's trees, bushes, or anything hanging out that would have swiped across a car?
No, sir.
On June 2nd of 2014, did you travel somewhere out of state in reference to this case?
Yes, I did.
Where did you travel to?
Meridian, Mississippi.
And how did you travel there?
Hillsborough County generously offered their plane for me to fly up there.
Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, sir.
And did you fly up in that plane accompanied by a Hillsborough County detective, a homicide detective?
Yes, I did.
And who was that?
Detective Charlie Keene.
Okay. And when you flew up to Meridian, did you meet with someone up there?
Yes, I did.
Who was that?
Ivy Van. And
did you interview Miss Van?
Yes, I did.
And where was the interview conducted at?
At a local fire department.
I'll tender the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, cross.
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay, this witness be excused, subject to being recalled.
I'd ask that he be retained under subpoena for possible recall.
Okay, so you're excused, but you're subject to being recalled, all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, call our next witness.
State calls Kelissa Kelly.
Stop right here, face the clerk, she'll swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please step up this way, please. Have a seat right up here in the witness stand.
You may proceed.
Your Honor, can we approach?
Yep.
Quick.
Okay, very good. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, there's just a very quick matter we have to take care of momentarily. I'm gonna have you all step out, and then you'll be back in quickly, all right? So don't get too comfortable.
All rise, jury exiting.
Okay, very good. Have a seat, everybody. Go ahead, Carmen. And just for the record, the jury's left the courtroom.
All right. Ms. Kelly, you remember when I spoke with you a couple weeks ago in my office? It was about 3 weeks ago. Okay. I just wanted to remind you, okay, for your testimony here in front of the jury, that we cannot discuss and you cannot say anything about the fact that the defendant was in the Pinellas County Jail for a short time on those drug charges, or about the detective playing for you recordings of jail phone calls that he had made to other women, because that would indicate to the jury he was in jail. Okay, you following me on that? Okay, all right. We're just doing this as a precaution. We have a lot of time and a lot of effort invested into the case, and this would cause a mistrial, and we'd have to start over, so that's why I'm bringing it up. Also, you remember we did discuss the fact that we believe that the defendant was picked up at some point by his attorney, by a lawyer, a female. Yeah, you assumed it, right, and we talked about that, but we can't talk about the fact he had an attorney or a lawyer at all, okay? All right? And the whole thing with his charges that were against him concerning Tadra, his wife, the rape allegations, the assault allegations, we're not going to talk about any of that, okay? All right? Good enough.
Okay, you're
Yep.
good.
Thank you,
All
Your
right,
Honor.
very good. Bring the jury back in.
Yeah, try to speak up on that so that these people over here can hear you, okay?
All right, jury enters.
All right, welcome back. Everyone have a seat, and you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you please state your name and spell both names for us?
Kelissa, Kelly, K-E-L-L-I-S-A, Kelly, K-E-L-L-E.
Ms. Kelly, what kind of work do you do, ma'am?
I work at GSP.
Okay. Ma'am, you're going to need to speak up, okay? Try to get close to that microphone if you need to, but we need everyone in here to be able to hear. All these folks over here need to hear what you're saying, okay? All right. And where do you live, ma'am? You don't need to tell me your physical address, but what city do you live in?
St. Petersburg?
And have you lived there for several years?
Yes.
Did you live there in May of 2014 in the city of St. Petersburg?
Yes.
And do you know the defendant in this case, Granville Ritchie?
Yes.
And how long have you known him?
I want to say I met him December of 2013. I'm not really sure, but somewhere.
Okay, either December of 13 or December of 12? And ma'am, back in May of 2014, did you own a motor vehicle at that time?
Yes.
What type of car was that?
GS 400 Lexus.
It was a 1998 model?
Yes.
Okay. And in May of 2014, were you dating Mr. Ritchie at that time?
Yes.
And was he utilizing your car?
Yes.
Was he driving it?
Yes.
And how often would he use it?
Not very often. Let's say like 3 times.
Okay. And when he drove it, would he have it for the whole day?
It varies. It's different.
And when he drove it, were you left at home?
Sometimes not a lot.
But sometimes you were at home without a motor vehicle. Okay. And why did you let the defendant use your car like that?
Why? For different reasons.
Okay. Well, what reasons did you have for letting him use your car?
Relevance we're going to supply.
Overrule, go ahead.
You want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, please.
As I said, different reasons. It could be he needed to go to the store, run an errand, go see his mom. It was just different reasons.
Okay. And were you letting him use the car because you were in a relationship with him?
Yes, you share when you're in a relationship.
Okay.
Yes.
And he didn't have a car at that time, did he?
I think he did have a car at that time. I'm not sure. I think he had been in an accident in his car. and it was in a shop or something like that. I'm not really sure.
But he had been, as of May 16th of 2014, and you remember that date, that Friday, right?
Yes.
That's when all the incidents in this case revolve around that date. You remember that, right?
Yes.
Okay. As of that date, he had been utilizing your car for over 2 months, correct?
Off and on.
Okay. Now, during that time period, and I'll just say the week of May 12th, which was the Monday before that, leading up to the Friday the 16th, did you consider the defendant to be your boyfriend?
Yes.
Were you in love with him?
In love with him? No.
You weren't in love with him?
No, I wasn't in love with him.
Okay. Would he stay over at your house on occasion?
Yes.
And were you intimate with him?
Yes.
Okay. Now, during that time period, did you know that if the defendant maintained an apartment or a home of his own?
No.
He did not.
Not that I knew of.
Would he on occasion stay at your residence in St. Petersburg?
Yes.
Did he keep belongings in your Lexus, your GS 400,
Both places. Yes.
and in your residence?
Yes.
So in your Lexus, did you know him to maintain or keep a suitcase with clothing and travel items in it?
Yes.
When the defendant was working, do you recall him working on construction of cell towers?
Yes.
And would that take him out of Florida to other states to do that type of work?
Yes.
All right. And did the defendant ever ask you to come visit him at those work sites?
Yes.
And would you go and stay with him in whatever hotel he was staying at?
Yes.
And would you, in fact, go to the work sites with him and wait in his car or truck?
Yes.
States states O is an Oscar, states O3, publishing. You can look up over your right-hand shoulder there, Ms. Kelly. You recognize that car?
Yes.
States O4. Are these photographs of your Lexus GS 400?
Yes.
O5. You recognize that being your automobile tag and the condition of your car?
Yes.
Okay. States O22. You recognize that suitcase in the back seat?
Yes.
Is that a yes, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. And another photograph states O24. Is that the defendant's suitcase?
Yes.
Is that a suitcase he would keep in your car?
Yes.
And did he keep it in the trunk of your car?
Not all the time.
But sometimes he did.
Sometimes, not all the time. I don't think it was in the back seat because I used to see it, so not much of the trunk.
Do you remember coming into my office about 3.5 weeks ago
Yes.
and meeting with me to prepare you for your testimony?
Yes.
Do you remember being in a room with me and in a room with an investigator who had light-colored hair?
Yes.
A man named Donnie Miller?
Yes.
Do you remember at that time telling us that he kept the suitcase in the trunk of the car?
No, I think you just asked me, did he keep the suitcase in the car?
You don't
And
remember
I
saying in the
said
truck?
yes.
You don't remember saying in the truck?
No.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as state C-2. Do you recognize those apartments?
Yes.
Okay. And states C-4. You recognize those apartments?
Yes.
Had you ever been to those apartments?
Not inside of those apartments, but yes, I've been there.
And did you go there to drop somebody off at the apartments?
I once went there with with Gloria,
Who's Gloria?
his mother.
And why did you go there with
I
Gloria?
think she was just moving into the place, and she went to pick up keys or something like that. I don't quite remember, but
Did you go there in your Lexus?
yes,
Did you drive her there?
yes.
Did you go inside the apartment?
No, I never been inside.
8910 Tanglewood Lane. You've never been in there?
I've never been inside.
Okay. Did the defendant ever invite you into that apartment?
No,
Did you ever sleep in that apartment with the defendant?
no.
So you know Gloria Gibson, the defendant's mother, is that right?
Yes.
And by what name do you know her?
Gloria, Vivette.
Vivette?
Mm-hmm.
Does she also use the name Vivian?
No,
You never heard her use the name Vivian?
no.
And what name did you know the defendant by in 2016, or 2014, excuse me?
What do you mean? Granville?
Yeah, what was the name you called him?
Chenna?
Chenna?
Yes.
Did you also call him Trevor?
No,
You never used that name Trevor?
no.
Ever? You never
No.
used that? Okay. So you called him Chenna.
Chenna.
And is that the name his mother used for him?
Yes.
Did you ever hear his mother refer to him as Trevor?
No. I didn't hear that.
Have you ever heard that name ever related to the defendant as a name he went by anybody, by any source?
No,
Trevor.
no.
When did you learn that his name was Granville Ritchie?
Like 2 days after we met.
So you knew his name was Granville Ritchie from 2 days after you met through your relationship.
Correct.
Before May 17th of 2014, do you remember that day?
What day?
May 17th, a Saturday? It would have been the day that you went to the Insta-Loan and then ended up going to the
Yes.
Temple Terrace Police Department.
Yes.
Okay. Had you ever heard the name Ebony Wiley?
No.
Had you ever heard the name Ivy Van?
Yes.
And where did you hear the name Ivy Van?
I think she was a friend of Granville.
And how did you find that out?
I don't quite remember. I don't know if I went through the phone or something, but on my own.
You found it out on your own.
Mm-hmm.
So you think you may have gone through his phone when he was asleep or something?
It's possible. It's possible.
And you found the name Ivy Van?
Yes.
Before May 17th of 2014, had you ever spoke with Ivy Van?
I think just briefly. I just called just to see who she was. I don't really. It was just briefly. I just called.
Why did you call her?
I was just trying to see who it was.
You had found her name in his phone and you called to see who she was?
Correct.
How long was that conversation?
Just a second.
I'm sorry?
Just like under a minute.
Okay. Do you know if Ivy Van ever was in your Lexus?
No.
Do you know if Ebony Wiley was ever in your Lexus?
They showed me a picture of her in my Lexus.
The police officers did?
Yes.
Before that, did you know she was in your Lexus?
No.
You ever heard of the name Kelsey?
No.
A young woman named Kelsey?
No.
Now, we talked earlier about May 16th, 2014, the Friday of May 16th, 2014,
Yes.
and you indicated you do remember that day.
That's Saturday?
This would be the Friday
The
before
Friday. Okay, I remember the Friday.
that. So you were interviewed on Saturday, and then you were interviewed a couple more times throughout the following week.
That week,
It'd be that
correct.
Friday before that.
Correct.
Okay. Just making sure I'm drawing your attention to the right date. Were you interviewed on May 17th at the Temple Terrace Police Department? The Saturday, May 17th.
It's the evening of, May 17th I was.
And that would have been late in the evening,
It
right?
was late, yes.
And do you remember on May 19th, detectives coming out and interviewing you again? That would have been Monday?
Possibly.
At your parents' house?
At my dad's house,
Yeah.
yes.
In St. Petersburg?
Yes.
Do you remember coming down to the state attorney's office on May 23rd of 2014 and
Like
giving us,
that Thursday or something?
and giving a sworn statement?
Yes.
You were subpoenaed to come there, do you remember that?
Yes.
So you've given several statements before your testimony here today, correct, about this case?
Correct.
And in that statement to the state attorney's office, you were placed under oath, correct?
That's correct.
So now I'll take you back to the morning. I'm not trying to confuse you. We're going to go back to that Friday the 16th before all this starts, okay?
Okay.
That morning. Did the defendant stay at your residence the night before?
Yes.
And so you all got up together that morning in your residence?
Correct.
All right. And did you have plans that day to go run some kind of an errand in reference to using your car as collateral to do something?
Using my cars. I had plans to go take care of some business, yes.
Okay. Were you going to try to get a loan that day?
Yes.
And that was a plan you had for the day?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Did you tell the defendant that, Mr. Ritchie?
I don't know if I per se told him that I was specifically going there, but I told him that I had something to do. Yeah.
Did you tell him you wanted him to go with you?
I don't recall that.
And would you have needed your car to go do that?
Yes.
Because you were going to use your car as collateral?
I was going to use my title to the car
To the
as
car.
collateral.
All right. So your title to the car showed ownership
Correct,
of
the
the car.
title.
Right. And at the time, did you live at 4243 Tyler Circle in St. Petersburg?
Yes.
What type of residence was that?
What do you mean?
Was it a condominium, an apartment, a house?
It was a condominium.
Condominium?
Yes.
Do you live there now?
No.
What area of St. Petersburg was that located in?
Like the Tyrone Mall area.
Was it east or west of 275?
Maybe west, I
West?
believe. Yeah.
Would it have been between 275 and going down to the beaches in St. Petersburg?
Well, that's an opposite way. It would have been, well, you can say that, yes.
Okay. So if you're going south on 275, what would be the easiest road to get off of to make your way to 4243 Tyler,
For me, it would have been 38th Avenue.
38th Avenue?
Yes.
And if you're going south on 275 and you get off on the exit and you come to 38th Avenue, are you going to go right to go to that residence or are you going to go left?
You're going to make a right.
You're going to make a right.
Correct.
And that morning, did the defendant leave your residence and go somewhere?
Yes.
And where did he go?
He went to take his mother to work.
Was that somewhere outside of Pinellas County?
If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Bradenton or Sarasota area. I'm not really sure on which one it was.
And from where you live, that would have taken him over the Skyway Bridge?
That's correct.
That would have been the quickest route?
That I know of, yes.
And did you expect him to do that?
Yes.
He had told you he was going to do that?
He didn't really want to do that at that morning. He didn't really want to leave, actually.
All right. But he did do that, right?
He did end up doing that,
Right.
yes.
And did he tell you he was going to come back?
Yes, he did come back.
And he did come back, right?
Yes.
All right. And were you expecting to be able to go to the Insta-loan business with your car when he got back?
Yes, I was expecting to handle my errands.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yes, I was expecting to handle my errands as I planned. Yes.
Okay. And when he got back, did you go to the Insta-loan
No,
company?
no.
Okay. What happened?
The timing was off because I needed to get another piece of paper
Mhm.
from my employer, and I wasn't able to make it to get that paper, so I had to reschedule.
Okay. And when the defendant came back, did he leave?
Yes.
And how long was he there at your residence?
I would say maybe a half an hour, a little more.
Okay. Did you expect him to do that?
To leave again?
Yeah.
Not really. I
All right.
wasn't sure.
And you were upset about him, weren't you, Miss Kelly?
No, I wasn't upset about him leaving. I was just upset that I didn't get to do what I wanted to do.
Okay. Which made you upset?
Kind of. Not really, but I was annoyed.
You
I
were
would say.
annoyed.
Yes.
All right. And you weren't able to do what you needed to do because he took your car, right?
Yes.
And when he left, did he tell you when he was going to come back?
No.
Did he tell you how long he was going to be gone?
Just say he soon come back.
He said what?
He will soon come back.
Okay, so he did give you some idea of when he would come back, right?
Soon.
Soon. Okay. And did you take that to mean sometime soon?
His soons can vary, so I just took it as I'd soon be back.
Do you remember when he left that second time? When he came back from taking his mother to work and then he was there 30 minutes when he left?
No.
Was it before lunchtime or after lunchtime?
I'm not sure. That I don't know.
Was it before 1 o'clock or after 1 o'clock?
I can't say because I don't remember.
And did he come back soon?
I would say like maybe 4 or 5 hours, maybe. I'm not really sure.
In fact, Ms. Kelly, he didn't return to your residence until after midnight, correct?
It was before midnight.
Do you remember talking to us at the state attorney's office just 4 weeks ago? Do you remember that?
Yes.
And saying that it was between 11:30 and 12:30?
11 and 12. I never said after 12.
You don't remember saying that?
I never said
11:30 to
that.
12:30.
11 to 12.
Okay.
That's what I said.
So if he had left around, say, 1 o'clock, right?
That's what you say because
I'm
I
not
don't
saying that.
remember.
I'm not saying that. Let me go back. Did he leave in the early afternoon? Did he leave in the middle of the afternoon or the late afternoon?
It was kind of like the middle, but I'm not sure of what time it was.
Okay. So if he left, say, in the middle, like, say, 2 o'clock, that would have had him gone for, what, 9 hours, 10 hours?
Something like that.
Okay. So a lot more than 4 or 5 hours, right, Miss Kelly?
Based on your time, yes. that
If he
you
left
just
at
gave.
2 o'clock.
Yeah,
All right.
if he did,
And if he left at 3 o'clock, it would be 8 hours, correct?
correct.
And you didn't have a motor vehicle that whole time he was gone, correct?
Correct.
Did you have phone contact with him that day?
Yes.
Did you make phone calls to him?
Text, because this area that I live in has a bad signal. So sometimes texting would be better.
So you text him
I think I text him, yes.
throughout the day?
Yes, both of us text each other.
And did you ask him when he was coming back?
I don't recall.
Well, what were you
exactly.
texting him about?
I'm not really sure.
Were you asking him when he was going to return your car?
I'm not sure.
And Ms. Kelly, this wasn't the first time he had left in your car and left you at home for quite a while, correct?
Under my permission, yes, correct. He just don't take my car and leave me.
But he did take your car and leave you that day, right?
With my knowledge.
I'm sure it was with your knowledge, but you
Yes.
weren't happy about it, were you?
I just wasn't happy that I wasn't able to run my errand. It wasn't that he had the vehicle, it's just that the timing was off for me.
And you didn't get to run your errand because he wanted to run his errand, right?
He was already doing that. It's just he didn't make it back in time for me to meet the person I needed to meet in order to do my errand.
And when he took his mother to work.
That's correct.
All right. But when he left, when he came back, and he was there for a brief amount of time and left in your car.
When he came back, it was already too late for me. The place wasn't closed,
Okay.
but as I told you, I needed to get a paper before I even went to the place. So therefore, I couldn't get the paper from my employer, so I had to reschedule anyway. But the place was still open.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting us know that.
No problem.
This will work a lot better if you let me ask my question before you answer, okay?
Okay.
All right? Because we can't talk over each other. She can't take down two people talking. All right? I appreciate you speaking up so loud so we can all hear you. When he left that day in your car, he left you at home, and you weren't happy about it, were you?
They shouldn't ask and answer.
Sustain the objection.
And when he didn't come back soon, later that day, you weren't happy, were you?
Ask and answer.
Overruled, go ahead, you can answer that one.
Again, it's the same answer as I just told you. I was only annoyed because I didn't make it to my appointment, not because of the time he reached back home.
Did you ask him when you texted him what he was doing all of this time?
I don't recall if I asked him that. I'm not sure.
And you told us on that day at least you'd never heard of the name Ebony Wiley, correct?
That's correct.
So the defendant never texted you and said, I'm with Ebony or I'm with Miss Wiley or anything like that, correct?
Correct.
And when he left, did he tell you he was going to pick up Ebony Wiley and a small child?
No, she never asked and answer.
Overruled, go ahead.
Actually, I had read that he wasn't going to
That's
go.
not what I asked you, what you read,
Well, what
ma'am.
did
I
you-
asked you. did
He didn't tell me
Wait,
that.
excuse me,
no.
ma'am.
Listen, stop. This only works one at a time. The question is, did he tell you?
No.
Okay. And when he texted you throughout that day, did he tell you that he was with Ebony Wiley or a small child?
No.
Did he tell you that he was going to the 8910 Tanglewood Lane apartment?
No.
Did he tell you he was taking Ebony Wiley and this little girl to the 8910 Tanglewood Lane apartment?
No.
Do you remember your phone number during that time period?
I'm not sure.
Do you have the same phone number?
No, I probably don't.
Okay. Do you remember a number 727? It would be 727, right? Because you lived in Pinellas?
Correct.
Do you remember a 902-6731 number?
Yes.
And that was your number?
Correct.
That's not still your number.
No.
So later that night he returns to the apartment, correct?
Correct.
And you're telling us now that it was between 11:30 and 12. Is
No,
that right?
I said 11
I'm
and
sorry,
12.
11 and 12.
Correct.
When he came to the house, did he just walk in the house? Is that the way it would work, or did he knock, or how did that work?
He probably had the key. If it was on the car key, yeah, he probably had the key, so he just walked in.
So he had the key to your house when he left?
Correct.
And can you tell us how he was dressed when he left that morning the second time?
The same way he left.
I'm sorry, when he left that day the second time, because you told us you don't remember when, but when he left that day the second time, how was he dressed?
The same way he left.
No, that's what I'm asking. When he
Oh,
left.
what did he have on?
Yes, ma'am. When
He had
left.
on a polo type shirt and some jeans, I want to say, and some like Sperry type shoes.
Okay. And what color was his shirt?
I believe it was white.
And this was a polo shirt, like a pullover shirt with the 3-button collar?
Correct.
And did it have a pocket?
I can't recall if it had a pocket.
Do you remember it having a pocket with some kind of a design on it?
It had a design, not a pocket. It did have some kind of symbol on the shirt, but it wasn't a pocket. It was a symbol.
Okay. So, and then the shirt itself had some kind of a design?
No, the shirt was plain and it had a design like on maybe the left side of the chest area.
Okay.
But the whole shirt wasn't a design. It was plain with the design on the corner.
Okay, I understand. I'm not saying it's a polo brand, but like that? Something similar
Like
to that?
a Nautica, polo, something type, those type.
Okay. Was he dressed the same way when he came home?
Correct.
And when he came to the house, was he acting the way he normally acts?
Yes.
And when he got there, what did you do? And what did he do?
I was watching TV when he came in. So he just came upstairs because I had an upstairs, downstairs. And he was just talking to me. Well, attempting to talk to me. And then he was like kind of watching the show along with me for a minute. And that's pretty much it.
So, did you have any conversations with him?
We said a few words.
All right. And did you give him the cold shoulder during that conversation?
I won't say the cold shoulder. I just probably wasn't as bubbly as I would be, maybe talking to him.
And why was that?
Probably a little annoyed, maybe. Yeah.
And was he trying to be jovial and nice when he came in?
Yeah, he was just, talking regular. Normal.
Did you feel as if he was trying to be nice to make up for leaving there all day?
No. I don't think it was really about that day. It was really about that whole week. So it wasn't about that day when you speak of him and I.
Okay. So he was trying to be nice to you to make up for the whole week?
We hadn't been right maybe for that week. It could have been better, so it just wasn't about that day.
And at some point, did he go to sleep?
Yes.
About how long after he got home did he go to sleep?
I would say maybe between 30 and 45 minutes.
30 to 45 minutes?
Yeah.
And how did you know he was asleep?
Because he went to sleep before me.
Were you in the same room with him when he went to sleep?
Yes.
Okay, so you were both in the bedroom.
We was both in the same bed.
And you knew he was asleep because you could hear him snoring or deep breathing, or
He was asleep, sir.
you know when he sleeps?
Yes.
Okay. So now going into the next day, May 17th, 2014, do you remember getting up that morning before him?
Yes, I
Well-
always do.
You always did. What time do you think you got up that morning?
Maybe like 7 or 8-ish, I want to say.
And at some point, did you receive a phone call sometime after you woke up from the defendant's mother?
Well, it was a while after, but I did receive a phone call.
All right. So how long was it after you got up?
It could have been a couple hours. It just wasn't right when I woke up. It was somewhere down the line.
Couple hours?
Yeah, something like that.
You got a call from his mother?
Yes.
And did she ask you to wake him up?
She asked me where was he.
Oh,
And
okay.
Yeah, and I proceeded to tell her that he was asleep, and then she asked to speak to him. So I woke him up. I woke him up and told him that his mother was on the phone.
Okay. Did he wake up?
Yes.
Did you give him the phone?
Yes.
And did he speak with his mother?
Yes.
Did you hear some of the conversation, at least his part of the conversation?
He wasn't really speaking. He was just saying, like, like she was speaking. I don't really know what she was saying, but on his end, he wasn't really like speaking. He was just answering, so it's like he was listening to something.
Do you remember him making a statement to her about making sure she was somewhere?
No, I think he said on one phone call, I don't know if this phone call was the one, but on one of those phone calls, he was like, it's okay, you know, just make sure you be there when whomsoever come.
Make sure you're there when they go in? Do you remember him saying that?
Yeah, or something like that.
Okay. And so he had more than one conversation with his mother that morning?
I believe so, yes.
And during some of those phone conversations, were you there when he started the conversation and not there during the course of the conversation? Maybe he walked outside or...
I was moving around already because I was cleaning up, so I really wasn't focused on their conversation.
Okay. So there was times when you weren't hearing what he was talking to her about?
That's correct.
All right. Going back to the night before, I forgot to ask you about this. When he came in, before he went to sleep, did he smoke any cigarettes?
I think he did smoke a cigarette.
Okay.
Not sure.
That would have been before he went to sleep, obviously, right?
Obviously.
And what did you and Mr. Ritchie do that morning, or I guess whenever he woke up a couple hours later, what did you all do?
As I said, I was moving around because I was cleaning, and I think Shanna took out the garbage, which we always have to drive the garbage around because it's so far, so we'll drive the garbage around, and I still was cleaning. And then he was watching TV for a while, and just nothing really important.
Okay. Just hanging out?
Something like that.
And when you say you had to drive the garbage around, you mean the garbage location within your complex was a distance from your residence?
Correct.
So you would put the garbage in the trunk or on the back of the car or whatever?
Correct.
Take it there.
And drive it.
At some point that day, did you drive with the defendant to that Insta-Loan location that you had wanted to go to the day before?
Yes.
And where is that located?
It's on US 19 and I believe 11th Avenue or 10th Avenue
In
South.
St. Petersburg?
Yes.
And when you went there, who was driving?
Shanna.
The
Granville.
The defendant?
Yeah.
Okay. When you arrived at that business, did you go into the business?
Yes.
Did the defendant come in with you?
Not at that time.
When you arrived there, as you were driving there, was he on the phone with somebody?
He received a phone call. Yes. I don't know who it was from. All I can hear is him say, "Yes, sir." And when he was saying, "Yes, sir," I was exiting the car at that time.
Whoever he was talking to, he was referring to them as sir? Yes, sir?
Correct.
Did that indicate to you that the person he was speaking with was a male?
Yes.
Did you then go inside of the Insta-Loan business?
Yes.
And inside of the lobby of the business, is there a space you have to walk across to get to some desks?
Yes,
And did you walk to a desk?
yes,
Did you meet with somebody there?
yes,
Was there a young lady sitting behind the desk who assisted you with your application?
yes.
And at some point, was there a male manager who assisted you?
I think he took the pictures of the vehicle.
Okay. So at some point, did the manager go out to your car and take photographs of it?
That's correct.
And as far as the doorway that you entered through to go into the business,
Mhm.
was the car parked around the corner from that?
Yes.
While you were applying for that loan, at some point, did the defendant, Chenna, did he walk into the business and approach you?
Well, I actually applied for the loan on that Friday. So basically, everything was done with the exception of the pictures.
Okay.
So when I went in there, I was just coming to basically sign the paperwork
And finish it?
and finish it.
Okay, thank you. So you went into, when you were in there, you were finishing this loan process?
Correct.
And they were taking photos of the car because you were using that as collateral, or the title? to
The
car as
title
collateral?
as collateral.
At some point, did the defendant enter the residence and approach you?
Yes.
And what did he say to you?
I believe he asked me maybe how much longer I was going to be at that time. Not really sure.
Okay. Did he say something about having to leave, or you needed to leave?
Eventually, he did say he needed to leave.
Okay.
He will be back.
In fact, did he leave the Insta loan after that first time and then come back in a second time?
I don't think he left the premises. I think maybe he went back outside. But he didn't leave in the vehicle. He just went
Right.
back outside.
That's what I meant. He left inside the business and walked back towards the vehicle?
Correct.
And then he came back in the business a later time?
A few minutes afterwards,
Okay.
yes.
And you have seen today, I think a couple of weeks ago when you came into my office, you've seen a video from that lobby that
Correct.
reflects you being there and shows the defendant coming in and out?
Yes.
The second time he came in and approached you, did he tell you he needed to leave?
I think that's when he told me that he would be back. He had to go do something. Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember him telling you he had to take care of some business?
I don't think his words were he had to take care of some business. I think he said he had to do something.
Okay. Do you remember telling me when we met at my office like 3 weeks ago, and my investigator, Mr. Miller, was there, that he told you he needed to take care of some business?
He told me that he needed to do something. And then I was like, do what? You don't even know nobody around here. That's what I told you.
Okay. And you were indicating to him that he didn't know the area,
Correct.
St. Petersburg.
Correct.
So you were trying to figure out what would you have to do in this area.
Correct.
And so he was telling you he needed to leave.
Correct.
Now, at some point, he walks out after telling you that, is that right?
Correct.
And do you, at some point, get up and go out and follow him out?
When he told me, I didn't have a chance to speak because I was in the middle of doing something with the young lady. But when I finished signing it, that's when I got up to try to catch him, to ask him, like, where were you going? You don't even know anybody around here. So that's how that conversation went.
Okay. And were you trying to get him not to leave?
I was trying to get him to tell me where he was going, and I also was trying to get him to wait on me because it wasn't going to be that much longer.
And did he do that?
No.
Did he leave?
Yes.
And how did that make you feel?
I wasn't happy.
Would it be fair to say you were upset?
Yes, a little.
Okay. And later, did you get more upset?
Yes.
Because when he left, he told you he'd be right back, right?
Yes.
Okay. But he didn't come right back, did he?
No.
After he left, at some point, do you remember texting him?
I remember texting him, yes.
And do you remember telling him how selfish he was by leaving you there?
I probably did say that, yes.
And do you remember bringing to his attention that he had stranded you there by leaving
Left
you
me
there?
stranded, yes.
And you had no way to get home?
Yes.
And you had no key?
Well, I didn't have a key. He didn't know if I had a way to go home because he didn't give me that opportunity to make sure I had a way home at that moment.
And he had your house key, right?
Correct.
Do you remember him making a reply text to you that you should have your mother pick you up?
Yes, something like that.
And that you text him back? I'm going to show you some exhibits here. States T1. And I'd ask that you look up over your right-hand shoulder there. First of all, that would be your number up there, the 727-902-6731 number.
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember him texting to you, call your mom to come get you when I come back, I'll explain, at 4:15 p.m.? That sound right?
Yes.
Okay. And you replied, she isn't here. WTF, she is with Gail.
Correct.
Who is Gail?
That's her friend.
Your mom's friend.
Right.
In fact, your mother and her friend Gail had come over here to Hillsborough, right, somewhere?
Yes.
Over to the Indian Casino?
Yes.
And the WTF, what does that stand for?
What?
You can just say, what the F, and I think we'll understand.
What the F?
Okay. And then you text him again, didn't you?
Yes.
And you said, really, my mom is with Gail, so therefore she can't come and get me.
Correct.
You're telling him, that's not going to happen, I'm still stranded, right?
Correct.
And then you said, you do some crazy shit. What would you do if I came by myself? Right? Isn't that what you told him?
That's correct, sir.
You would have to wait like you should have done.
Mm-hmm.
You leave me, FKN, and I'm assuming that stands for effing or fucking, right? Is that right? Okay. Stranded with no house keys, that's what the HSE stands for?
Correct.
Who FK, is that again stands for FUCK? Is that right?
Yes.
Who FK does that, and then you referred to him by a racial expletive, correct?
No, not that type.
Okay. But you're referring to him when you say NIGA, correct?
Nigga, not nigger.
Okay. So but you're referring to him, right?
Correct.
You describe him, a nigga like you, right?
Correct.
Okay. Then you make the statements, bitch, fuck you, I'm tired of your inconsiderate ass, whatever you are, and I think it goes on to the next text. States T2. Whatever you and your mom has going, you don't just leave me and take care of you, right?
Correct.
So what you were expressing there was that you're sick of him being selfish and inconsiderate, correct?
For the last couple days, yes.
Yeah. And you were sick of him taking care of himself before he took care of you and being inconsiderate towards you, correct?
Something like that.
And that would go back to the day before when he had your car all day long, correct, on the 16th? That was just an example of his inconsiderateness, correct?
I won't say it starts from that day. It just starts from a while back, not about that day.
Then you indicate, that was at 4:34, at 4:36 you indicate, then you don't answer the phone knowing you knew that before you left, when you could have waited a few minutes and made sure I'm okay. So he wasn't answering your phone calls.
Correct.
And you were calling him, trying to get an explanation from him?
Correct.
Were you trying to find out when he was going to come back?
Yes.
And then you indicate he left and didn't wait for you, which you said earlier you're trying to get him to wait, right?
Yes.
And then in the next text, you can take a look at that for me. And not assume I have a ride when I don't, right?
Yes.
So he was assuming your mom would be able to come pick you up, and that was an assumption. You're telling him you can't assume I'm going to be able to have a ride, correct?
Correct.
And you call him a dumbass bitch. Is that right?
Yes.
You're upset, aren't you?
At that moment, yes.
You're angry, aren't you?
Yes.
You've been stranded by him at this Insta-Loan business, and he has your house key. You can't even get into your house, correct?
Correct.
And this isn't the first time he's done this to you, is it?
Well, he's never left me stranded.
Well,
So
it's not
that
the
is
first
the
time
first
he's
time.
ever treated you inconsiderately, though, correct?
In a sense, it's nothing like this, I would say.
States T3. Well, you said this was an accumulation kind of coming out, right? Of you, an accumulation that had built up in you over the week.
For different things, yes.
And I believe you text again, not assume I have a ride when I don't. And then his text back to you at 4:56 p.m. Can you read that for us?
I'm in trouble, relax.
He tells you to relax. He sends you a 4-word text message after this litany of text messages from you, correct?
Correct.
That says, I'm in trouble.
Relax.
Relax.
hmm
And you remember that?
I do now.
Okay. When he left, did he tell you that he was going to the Temple Terrace Police Department?
No.
When you left, or when he left, did he tell you that a detective had called him on the phone and requested that he come to the Temple Terrace Police Department?
No.
And Ms. Kelly, prior to going to the Insta-Loan, you and Mr. Ritchie were at your house all morning?
Correct.
All right. And he never left and went anywhere, correct?
Only to throw the trash out.
Only to throw the trash out, and that was just a couple minutes, right?
I think he may have stayed out there extra because he was on the phone.
Okay. Outside on the phone for a few minutes?
Yeah.
Maybe smoking a cigarette again?
I didn't say that. I know he was on the phone.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as states M-A 1 through 5. Ms. Kelly, you've seen these just a few minutes ago, right?
Yes.
And I think I showed this to you when you were in my office with me about 4 weeks ago.
Yes.
Does that appear to be the photographs that they took at the Insta-Loan business?
Yeah, I never saw them, so if that's it, yes.
But does that appear to be your car parked at the Insta-Loan business?
Yes.
Okay. And they were recording how many miles you had on the car, right?
Correct.
And your VIN number and identification
That's
information for the car? Okay. States M dash A1.
Have those been admitted?
If they're not, I would tender them for admission. No, I don't think they're in.
They're
Excuse me.
admitted.
States M-A1. You can look over your right shoulder, Ms. Kelly. You were just looking at that photograph. So you had said that your car was parked around the corner from the front of the business?
Yes, that is.
Okay. So your car is facing in towards the side of the business. Is that right?
It's on the side.
It's on the
yes.
side, okay. So is there a street out here, and you can just, if you can look at the picture, is there a street that runs this way, right here in front of the business?
US 19 or
That-
34th Street?
Okay. So did the business face that road?
Correct.
Okay. So the business, the windows that look out from the business do not face where your car is parked?
Right.
States M-A3. You can take a look at that. So this wall here would be the side of the business. Is that right?
Correct.
And then the front of the business would be over there.
Yes.
Okay. States M-A2, publishing. States M-A4, and that would be a photo they took of your speedometer, is that right?
Correct.
States M-A5. Your Honor, I would move to publish States M. The video that was previously introduced through Captain Staley's testimony.
Okay.
Ms. Kelly, if you can look over your right shoulder. You've previously seen this video, is that right?
Yes.
And is this the lobby of the Instalone?
Yes.
Do you see the door that you entered to come into the business?
It's only one door right there.
Okay. All right. Ms. Kelly, is that you walking in?
Yes.
And this is May 17th, 2014, at about 3:46 in the afternoon?
Yes.
So between whenever Mr. Ritchie woke up, he was with you at your residence until sometime before 3:45 when you drove there?
That's correct.
And you said you're coming in now to finalize this loan?
Correct.
All right. And were you utilizing the money for some type of a business transaction? Were you going to buy something?
No. It's personal.
Were you going to give it to somebody?
It's personal.
Kelly, I'm going to move forward into the video. You can take a look at it. The gentleman that's walking back in the door or walking in the door, is that the manager?
Yes.
that was assisting you with completing your loan?
He wasn't assisting me, but I think he has to do the pictures and make the final decision on what you're gonna get.
Oh, okay. He makes the final assessment of the
Right.
value of the car?
Correct.
And he would have been the one that took the photographs?
Correct.
And do you remember Mr. Ritchie walking in shortly here?
Yeah, that's him.
Is that Mr. Ritchie?
Correct.
That's how he was dressed that day?
Yes.
You remember what the lady was doing right there, the young lady?
The outfit was new, so she was taking off the tag. I
Oh,
forgot to
okay,
take the tag.
okay. And at that time, when she was doing that, was Mr. Ritchie, was at the time, the first time he was telling you, asking you how long it was gonna take?
It looks like that may be what's going on.
And does he appear to have his phone in his hand?
Yes.
And looking at his phone? So now he comes back a second time, is that right? Is that Mr. Ritchie coming back in, Miss Kelly, excuse me?
Yes.
It appeared he's asking you to come outside, is that what happened?
Yes, because I don't think I was really able to talk, so.
And do you go out on the sidewalk and have a discussion with him?
Correct.
And is that when he's telling you he has to leave?
Yes.
And he'll be back?
Correct.
And does he tell you he'll be back in a few minutes, or he'll be back soon, or?
He didn't say. He wasn't specific.
And you're asking him, what do you got to do in St. Pete, because you don't know St. Pete?
Right.
Because you're thinking at that time he's going to go somewhere nearby.
That's what I was thinking.
And did he tell you he was going to Tampa?
No, he didn't tell me anything. He just said he will be back.
And is this you walking back in, Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
And during this, are you trying to concentrate on getting your loan?
I am concentrating on getting my loan
For your personal reasons?
for my personal reasons. Correct.
That doesn't have anything to do with the defendant, does it? Your personal reasons?
It's my personal reasons.
Were you going to give him money or loan him money?
You're asking me the same thing. I'm telling you for my personal reasons.
So, just for the record, you're refusing to tell us, to tell this jury, why you were getting that money?
I don't think it's irrelevant to this. It doesn't have anything to do with this case. That was my business.
Ms. Kelly, do you remember seeing a separate camera angle of that lobby?
I think this is it right here that you showed me, yes.
Right. So I'm going to try to go forward the time period when you go outside with Mr. Ritchie. This is the second time he's coming in.
Okay.
And Ms. Kelly, if you could watch the video, please. And that's you walking out?
Yes.
All right. And that's a sidewalk there. It runs along in front of the business?
Correct.
So, and because I can't draw on the video, you're having a discussion with him right now?
Correct.
All right, so he's standing somewhere over here on the
It's right
sidewalk.
in front of me, but
All right.
the wall is blocking.
And your car is parked right here.
My car is on the side,
On that
actually
side.
behind that picture frame, maybe that way.
Okay. And it's facing into the business? on that
Correct.
side. Okay. And that's you walking back in by yourself?
Correct.
Now, that's you kind of running out the door?
Yes.
Have you finished your business there at the Insta-Loan?
Yes.
Did you get your loan?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we see you getting into a car here. Whose car is that?
That's my cousin's.
Your cousin's?
Yes.
And had you contacted them by phone?
Correct.
And did your cousin agree to come pick you up?
Correct.
And at that time, your mother was over at the Seminole Indian Casino here in Tampa?
Correct.
So when you left with your cousin, did your cousin take you somewhere, or did you just drive with her?
I just hung out with her.
Okay. How long did you stay with your cousin?
Maybe a couple hours.
And if she had taken you to your house, would you have been able to get into your house?
No.
And is that because the defendant left with your house key
Yeah, it was on the car key.
on the keychain?
Yes.
At some point, does your cousin drop you off at your mother's house?
Yes.
Do you remember about how long you were with your cousin before you got dropped off at your mom's house?
Like a couple hours again, a little longer.
A couple hours, maybe longer?
Yeah.
At some point, your mother told you she was home or heading home?
Yes.
And then did you go there and get dropped off there?
Yes, I did.
Did you continue, other than the text messages that we've seen, did you continue to attempt to call and text Mr. Ritchie?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
At some point, you get a phone call from a detective at the Temple Terrace Police Department.
Correct.
Prior to that, did you know that the defendant was at the Temple Terrace Police Department prior to
No.
him calling you?
No.
Did you have any idea up to that point that the defendant had gone to the Temple Terrace Police Department?
No.
Other than telling you, I'm in trouble, relax, did he say anything to you about being at a police station or being with detectives?
No.
When you got the call from the detective at the Temple Terrace Police Department, were you caught off guard?
Of course.
Were you kind of
Yes.
shocked by that?
Yes.
And when they asked you to come there to the Temple, because they did, right?
Correct.
Did you ask him what it was about?
Yes.
That's a natural reaction, right?
Yes.
But they wouldn't tell you, right?
He kind of told me it was pertaining to the night. He asked me, as a matter of fact, did I see it on the news? And I replied to him, yes. And then he said, it's something pertaining to something like that, the case, the little girl being missing, actually.
Okay. So he asked you if you'd seen that on the news?
Correct.
About the little girl being missing?
Correct.
And you said you had?
Yes.
Had you seen it that morning at your residence?
I've seen it a couple times. I think I maybe seen it that night too as well. I'm not really sure, but it flashed a couple times on
Okay.
TV.
Was that on Bay News 9?
Probably Bay News 9, yes.
Okay. So that's kind of like a revolving 24-hour news cycle
Yes.
show, correct?
Correct.
So did you tell the detective you would come over to the Temple Terrace Police
I
Department?
did,
And did you go over to the Temple Terrace Police Department?
yes.
How did you get over there?
My mother's car.
Okay, what kind of car did your mother have?
I believe she had a Maxima then, I want to say.
Okay, so did you take a Maxima?
Yes.
And did you know how to get to the Temple Terrace Police Department?
No.
How did you find your way there?
GPS.
I'm sorry?
GPS.
You used your phone?
Correct.
You used the electronic technology of GPS within your phone to find your way to the Temple Terrace Police Department?
Yes, sir. I used the technology GPS off of my phone to reach the Temple Terrace Department.
Did it lead you there and work?
It did.
Did you go somewhere before you went to the Temple Terrace Police Department?
I didn't go specifically anywhere. I just rode past a place.
Okay, what place did you drive past?
I got off on Hillsborough, and
Okay,
I rode past AutoZone, I believe it was, on the corner, to see if my vehicle was there.
and was your GPS taking you, did you go up 275?
No, my GPS didn't take me there. I knew how to get to Hillsborough on my own.
Okay, but you weren't familiar with the location of the Temple Terrace Police Department?
That's correct.
You'd never been there before?
Never.
Were you familiar with Tampa?
Not really.
When you came across, did you come across the Howard Franklin Bridge?
Yes,
You did?
I have, yes.
No, I mean when you went to the Temple Terrace Police Department.
Yes, I used the Howard Franklin.
And you came on 275 northbound and then got off on Hillsborough?
I did.
But that wasn't where the GPS coordinates were telling you to go, or the GPS on your phone was telling you to go?
No, I didn't utilize it for a minute because I wanted to ride past AutoZone to check on my vehicle, which was located on Hillsborough.
Okay, so you knew your vehicle was at the auto zone on Hillsborough?
Correct.
All right. And is that because the defendant told you that?
He did.
Was that by text or phone call?
One or the other, I'm not sure if it was the phone call or text.
And is
I
that
believe it
because
was a phone
you said to
call.
him, "Where's my car"?
I don't know if I asked or he told me where it was located. I
So-
don't know how the conversation occurred, but I was
Before,
told.
okay, so before you went to the Temple Terrace Police Department, you went to check on your car.
Correct.
Okay, so you got off at 275 onto Hillsborough and you drove, would that be eastbound?
When I got off Hillsborough, I went right.
You went right. okay.
Correct.
So you're coming north on Hillsborough, you got off on the turn lanes and you took a right.
Correct.
Okay. And you drove down, did you see your car?
After that first light, the AutoZone is right after that light, which is on the right-hand side as well. So I did see my vehicle.
It's pretty close to 275. right?
Correct. It's right when you get off.
Did you know the cross street to be Nebraska?
Nebraska and Hillsborough, right.
Okay. And you saw your car in the parking lot?
I did.
And did you see other cars around your car?
I did.
What kind of cars?
Police.
Did you pull in and stop and talk to them?
I didn't. I actually pulled in across the street when I U-turned.
Did a U-turn?
Yes.
And then where'd you go?
When I did a U-turn, I sat in the parking lot for a minute to actually try to see what was going on with my vehicle, because at this time I'm very confused and I don't really know what's going on. So I'm trying to figure out why all these people are around my vehicle and if I can even take my vehicle because there was so many people around the vehicle.
That upset you?
No, I wasn't upset. It just made me curious to what was going on.
And before you were told about your car being there, and before these officers or this detective called you, You had no idea that the defendant was going to the Temple Terrace Police Department when he left you, right?
I didn't.
So, after leaving there, I'm assuming at some point you left,
Leaving where?
the parking lot where you had done
Oh,
the
the
U-turn.
store across
Yeah.
the street, yes.
How long did you sit there for?
Probably like 15 minutes.
What were you doing?
Analyzing
Thinking?
the area to what was going on with my vehicle.
Trying to figure
Trying
out
to
what was
figure
going
out
on?
what was going on.
Okay. You knew your car was across the street with a bunch of officers or deputies,
Correct.
and you knew this had something to do with the missing girl.
Correct.
After sitting there for that length of time, 15, 20 minutes, is that
Mhm.
what you said?
15,
15?
yes.
What did you do next?
I proceeded to get back on the interstate and head to the Temple Terrace detective.
Okay. And following your GPS on your phone?
Correct.
Did it take you to the Temple Terrace Police Department?
It did.
When you arrived there, did you walk into the front entrance, or where did you go?
I walked into the front entrance.
Did you tell them why you were there?
Yes, I told them who I was there to meet with.
And did a detective come out and meet you?
Correct.
Were you escorted
Yes.
to some area?
Yes.
And what kind of area?
I think that's their interviewing area, maybe?
Okay. Was it a room with a table and some chairs?
Yes.
And did you agree to be interviewed?
I wasn't being interviewed per se. I think he was just asking me some questions, verifying some things
Okay.
that he was told.
So you didn't have any problem sitting there talking to them?
No, I didn't.
Did you ask them, what in the world is this all about?
Yes. He finally actually told me what it was about eventually.
All right. Did the detective question you about the day before and about that day?
The day before. It's possible.
Okay. Now, how long do you think you were there having this conversation with this detective?
A couple hours or more.
And at the end of the conversation with the detective, what happened?
He asked if it was okay if he seized my vehicle. And if I didn't agree with it, he said that he was gonna, I guess, get it subpoenaed for me to do that, and I will get the vehicle back in 2 days.
Did he mention a search warrant?
No, not at that moment.
Okay. Did you agree to let them take your vehicle?
Yes, for 2 days.
Have you ever seen your vehicle since?
No.
All right. Well, you actually leave there and you go look at it. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But after that night, did you ever see your Lexus again?
Yes.
You
I did. Yes.
Later that night, or?
Later that night, actually, I went back to the area again,
Okay.
and I sat there.
Well, hold on for a minute, because I'm going to ask you about that.
Okay.
So, he asked you for consent to search your car and take your car, and you agreed.
Correct.
All right. After that happens, what happens next? What do you do next?
I leave, and then I go back to Hillsborough.
Back to Hillsborough Avenue?
Nebraska and Hillsborough, where the car was located.
Okay.
So I go back there, and the vehicle is still there the same way. So I sit for a while, because I'm actually trying to reach Granville, too, at the time. So I'm trying to see what they're going to do with my vehicle, too, as well. So I sit for a while, and then I think I had to use the restroom, and I proceeded to go to a Gyros.
On Hillsborough?
On Hillsborough and 40th, maybe. I'm not really sure. 50th, 40, I don't know.
How
But
far past Nebraska and Hillsborough was that?
it was up a little way.
So you drive back to Nebraska and Hillsborough, and do you drive into the parking lot where your car is, or do you?
No, I never drive in the parking lot. I just sat across the street.
Was that the same place that you had sat before?
Yes.
Before you had gone to the Temple
Yes.
Terrace Police Department?
Correct.
And how long did you sit there?
I sat there for a while.
You think it was as long as an hour?
After the interview, yes, I still was over there within that hour, yes.
At some point, did you see detectives start kind of moving around your car?
There was already some outside, it was some in the vehicle, it was just like different police. But they all was over there in the parking lot. So as I said, I end up having to use the restroom. So I left. And
Drove down to the
I drove
gyro
down
shop?
to the gyros, yes. And I went in and used the restroom. And then when I was coming out, I got in my mom's vehicle and I proceeded to leave out the parking lot. And that's when I seen my vehicle on a tow truck passing by the gyros.
Driving by.
Driving by.
And did you follow the car?
No, I didn't.
What did you do at that point?
I just was still trying to reach Granville because I knew he left before I did.
Left the Temple Terrace Police
Yes.
Department? So when you were trying to get a hold of him, he wasn't returning your calls or not answering your calls?
Correct.
Did you try to call his mother to try to find him?
Yes.
Were you able to get a hold of him at that time?
Not at that time, no.
And I'll ask now, after you saw your car go by on a tow truck, did you ever get it back?
No.
At some point, did you leave the gyro shop?
Yes.
And where did you go?
I think I went back to the same area.
Nebraska, Hillsborough? area?
Yes, I think I just drove the back way and came back up Nebraska on the side, the different side.
Okay. And what did you do when you got there?
I just observed the area again, and at that time it was like a gathering of police or investigators. I don't really know what was what, but
Your car was gone, though?
yes, my car was gone.
How long did you stay in that area?
I say I stayed over there maybe an hour and a half or a little longer.
And now, why would you stay there for an hour and a half?
Well, it was two reasons. One, I was trying to get in touch with Granville, and the second reason was because I was trying to see what was going on with my vehicle.
Did you have some reason to believe they were going to do anything other than search your vehicle?
No, I just thought they was going to just simply search the vehicle, and I was really under the impression that I was going to get it back in 2 days.
After staying there for an hour, hour and a half in that area, did you at some point leave that area?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I got back on Hillsborough, proceeding to go home.
Proceeding home?
Yes.
All right. And how did you go home? What route did you take?
I got back on Hillsborough on the opposite side that I got off to enter into Hillsborough. So I got back on heading south,
Heading south?
St. Pete.
On 275?
Yes.
Okay. So did that take you back down through by the city of Tampa and back out?
It's actually taking me out of Tampa, yeah, to go back to the Howard Franklin.
To go back to St. Pete?
Yes,
All right. Did you go back across the Howard Franklin?
I did.
And then down through St. Pete on I-275?
Yes,
Did you get off at that 38th Street exit?
I did. 38th Avenue,
38th Avenue? I'm
Yes.
sorry, 38th Avenue. Did you then head towards your residence?
I did.
As you got close to your condominium, did you see somebody walking that you recognized?
Yes.
And where was that you saw that person?
Right at the light that you take to turn to go to my condo.
And that's after you get off of 38th Avenue?
That's way down after you get off 38th Avenue.
How close was that to your house?
The light is actually less than 5 minutes away from my house, probably.
All right. And who was that person that you recognized that you saw walking?
Granville?
Granville Ritchie?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you do when you saw him walking?
I stopped.
Now, up to that point, had you been able to get him on the phone, or had he
No,
Answered any of your phone calls?
no,
So you stopped,
yes.
and what happened next?
He got in the vehicle.
Did you go home from there?
Yes, I was practically home, yes.
And when you got to your residence, did you stay at your house? Or your
For a while, yes.
condominium?
Yes.
How long did you stay there?
I would say some hours. Some hours.
You stayed at home for hours?
Yeah,
Did you end up leaving home at some point?
yes.
What time was that?
I'm not really sure, but it had to be like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm not really sure, but it was early morning.
So that would be early morning, Sunday morning?
Correct.
And you remember May the 17th when you went to the Installone being a Saturday?
It was a Saturday, yes, that I went there.
When you got into the car on Saturday morning to go to the Installone,
Yes.
was that the first time you had got into the car that day?
Yes.
When you got into the car, did you see any clothing that inside of the car that would have belonged to a child?
No.
Did you see a pair of children's jeans?
No.
Did you see a child's black shirt with green stripes on it?
No.
Did you see a pair of shoes or a shoe that was a black canvas shoe that looked like it may fit a 9 or 10-year-old kid?
I didn't.
And did you see any suitcases that were empty?
No.
That morning, we're going to Sunday morning now. You've picked up the defendant, you've gone to your residence, you're there for a couple of hours. You
Yes.
told us that you leave your residence
Correct.
after that. When's the next time you return to your residence?
I returned to my residence when you guys got a search warrant for my residence.
Do you remember when that was?
It was the same, I want to say it was a Thursday. It was that evening after I left here doing the
Sworn statement?
sworn statement. Later on, you guys got a search warrant, and that.
Would you agree with me that your sworn statement was taken on May 23rd?
If that was a Thursday, I remember it being a Thursday. I'm not sure though.
Okay. If I showed you a transcript of your sworn statement, would that possibly refresh your memory as to the date?
Yes.
And you can see up here in Ray SAO, State Attorney's Office Investigation, the statement of Kelissa Kelly.
Yes.
Right? Do you see a date?
May 23rd.
Okay. And that would have been the next time that you went to your residence after Sunday morning?
I believe so.
Do you see the defendant here in the courtroom?
Yes.
Can you please point to him and describe an article of clothing that he has on?
He has on a black suit.
Can you describe his tie for me to distinguish him from the other two men at the table?
Yes, he has on like a burgundy tie.
Okay. Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Granville Ritchie.
The record shall so reflect.
Thank you. Ms. Kelly, I'm going to show you states zero. Oh, by the way, your last name is Kelly, right?
Correct.
What name does the defendant call you by?
Kelly.
Kelly. So he calls you by your last name.
Correct.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as 0. It's an Oscar-12. You've seen this photo before, have you not?
Yes, probably.
Okay. This has previously been identified as the passenger side of the Lexus GS400. When the defendant left your residence on May 16th, was the passenger side of your car all scratched up like that?
Which one are the scratches? The long ones? The long scratches on there?
All of the scratches.
It was a lot of scratches on there.
Was there this many scratches?
I never counted them, but it was a lot of scratches.
Was
on
this
the
scratch
vehicle.
on there?
Yes.
Was this scratch on there?
Yes.
Was this scratch on there?
I think all those scratches were on there.
Okay. States O-13. Can you see those scratches?
Yes.
This scratch, that scratch, and this scratch, and this scratch. Were those scratches on there?
My car was scratched up pretty bad.
Miss Kelly, the detectives asked you about those scratches too, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
And you indicated to them that you had previously lived at a residence at 4820 Fifth Avenue South.
Correct.
And that you told them two things. You told them that your car had been keyed by somebody, right?
Correct.
On the side of the car.
On both sides of the car
On
and
both
on
sides.
the top of the hood.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you said that you may have been getting scratches on your car when you lived at that prior residence on Fifth Avenue in an alley behind the residence, correct?
I gave them two reasons why the scratches was on the vehicle.
Okay.
One, because I used to always go in this alley and it was the trees used to scratch up the top and the sides of it when you were turning in, driving through. And then the other reason was because someone purposely scratched up the vehicle.
And the alley was at 4820 Fifth Avenue South, St. Pete, correct?
Correct.
All right. States KK4. Is that the alley?
Yeah, that's the alley.
Okay. And states KK3. Is that the alley?
Yes, that's the alley.
States KK2. Is that the alley?
Yes, that's the alley.
Okay. Now, Ms. Kelly, when you came to my office about 4 weeks ago to prepare for trial, before coming and meeting with me, you had a date to come meet with me and you didn't show up, right?
Something like that.
You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
A subpoena had been served on you and you didn't appear?
Subpoena was served on me, or you told me? No, I think you just asked me to come down, not a
But
subpoena.
You had been served for trial, correct?
I don't know if I was served at that time. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
But you didn't come down when you were requested to
The
come down?
Friday, no, I missed that first
Okay.
Friday you requested me.
And then an investigator came out and actually served you a subpoena to come down to my office, right?
Actually, he took it to the wrong place, but he left a message on my phone and I returned the call.
Right.
Yes.
And you accepted the subpoena eventually? right?
Actually, they were banging on my mom's windows and she accepted the subpoena.
Kimberly Moore, your mom?
Correct.
Right. So she did what's called substitute service and accepted the subpoena?
Yeah, two of your people showed up banging on her window and she went to see what was wrong and it was them trying to serve me the subpoena.
Right, after you didn't show up the first time?
No, actually it was after they thought I wasn't going to show up at all because he left on my message that he knew Granville was telling me that I didn't have to come.
Okay. Well, in fact, before you came to talk to me, you went and visited with the defendant, correct? You had a visitation with him at the Hillsborough County Jail, correct?
Possibly, yeah, on a Sunday.
Right. And during that visitation, Mr. Ritchie told you, all you have to do is appear for trial. You didn't have to come talk to me, right?
I don't know if he said it in those words, but it was something pertaining to that.
Right. he told you you don't have to talk to the prosecutor, correct?
I don't think it wasn't the set as talk to the prosecutor. Wasn't thinking it was the prosecutor.
And Ms. Kelly, you are still in a relationship with this defendant, aren't you?
I am still his friend, yeah.
You know that what he's charged with, correct?
Correct.
Capital murder of a little girl and raping her. And for the last 5 years, you've remained his girlfriend, right? Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And in fact, you have visited him at the Hillsborough County Jail over 366 times.
Have I?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Isn't
I
that
didn't
true?
know that. I don't know the numbers, but I've been there a lot.
And you have talked to him on the phone over 2,000 times over the last 5 years. Isn't that right?
Wow. I wasn't didn't
Isn't that
know.
correct?
I can't say that's correct. All I can say is I do speak to him on the phone. I don't know the many of times that I've spoken to him on the phone, but you are correct. We do still speak on the phone.
We have one moment, Your Honor. And I think when you came to meet with me, and I was remiss not asking this earlier, you had told me that you had provided money to the defendant, correct, while he's been in jail?
For canteen?
For canteen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he can buy food, snacks, things like that, correct?
Correct.
For the last 5 years.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, how much total do you think that is? That
You don't know?
You tell me.
I can't tell you. I didn't tell you the numbers of visit and the number
Is it over
of phone
$1,000?
calls. It is it? I don't know, sir.
Is
I
it
didn't
over?
keep it
Is
up.
it over $5,000?
I don't know. I just know I did it from my heart. I don't know how much it was. I just did it from my heart. I wasn't counting.
Right, okay. So you get dragged into an investigation that you don't know anything about after the defendant takes your car and leaves you stranded. You're questioned by detectives. They seize your Lexus that you haven't gotten back to this day, and you still are in love with this defendant to the point where you go see him at the jail all the time and you call him, or you talk to him all the time when he calls you, right? Is that right, ma'am?
No, you're wrong. You're wrong about some of the things you just said. You're wrong about me being in love with him. So, no, that's not the reason. The reason is because I want to know as well some things, and the reason is we are friends. So that's what friends do.
In fact, when you came to talk to me at the state attorney's office 4 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
who were you with when you walked up to the 3rd floor to my office? Who was with you? Who traveled with you that day?
Gloria?
Gloria Gibson,
Correct.
this defendant's mother.
Correct.
Ma'am, you are in a relationship with him, you love him, to the point where you travel places with his mother, correct?
Not often. What does that have to do with anything?
The fact that you're in love with him?
No, the fact that you keep saying that I am. Did
Ma'am,
I ever
it has
tell you
everything-
that?
It has everything to do with your
Did I-
testimony.
One at a time.
When you
one at a
asked
time.
me that, I told you no, right?
Ms. Kelly, don't you think these jurors are entitled to know the nature of your relationship to this defendant since you're testifying in a case where he's charged?
Not really.
The truth about that?
The truth is that I'm not in love with him. That's what you asked me previously, and I told you no. So you're saying that to put emphasis on the relationship that we already had for 5 years.
And it goes back before the 5 years,
It
right?
does,
For maybe 2 years.
probably.
So 7 years you've been in a relationship with him.
7 years, yeah, I've been.
Are you prepared to tell us now what you did with your loan money?
I don't have to tell you that.
You don't want us to know about that?
Will that help you with this little girl case?
Is there some reason you don't want to tell us?
If it's going to help you, I will tell you. So is it going to help you with this case or not?
Are you going to tell us or not?
I don't think it's going to help you. So that'll be a
You
no.
don't want to tell us, do you?
I don't think you need to know. It's irrelevant.
You don't want this jury to know, do you?
You should ask and answer.
I have nothing else, Your Honor.
All right, Ross.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You have continued to visit Granville Ritchie for the past 5 years because he's your friend.
Correct.
And you have continued to talk to him on the phone because he is your friend.
Correct.
And you have given him money so that he can buy commissary at the jail because you are his friend.
Correct.
And you have done that not only because you are his friend, but you also presume him innocent of the allegations.
Objection, Your Honor.
That's correct.
Objection.
Hold on, wait. What's the legal basis?
Relevance.
Notice they have gone into the basis for why she has motives to lie and suggesting that it's improper for her to have a relationship with my client. He's presumed innocent. The court has indicated as such. Everyone's indicated as such.
Sustain the objections, an improper question.
You were asked questions about being under subpoena to testify in court.
Yes.
And you were asked about having discussed with Granville Ritchie the subpoena for you to testify in court on behalf of the state of Florida, right?
Correct.
And at no time did Granville Ritchie suggest to you that you should not show up in court to testify.
No, he didn't say that.
At no time did Granville Ritchie suggest to you that you should show up in court and lie on his behalf.
No.
He did suggest to you that maybe you didn't have to go and meet with the prosecutor because the subpoena indicated that you had to show up to testify truthfully in court.
Correct.
And that was your intent.
That was my intent.
No other questions?
Okay, redirect.
Nothing else, Your
Okay, may this witness be excused?
Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Free to go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it's 12:40, so this would be a good time for us to take our lunch recess. So we will reconvene at 2 o'clock, so give you about an hour and 15 minutes, all right? Just remember, when you're on this break, don't discuss the case with anyone, don't listen to, watch, read any news accounts, don't do any independent investigation. See you all back here at 2 o'clock, all right?
All rise, jury's exiting.
All right, very good. Jury's up in the courtroom. I'm going to give you all the initial set of jury instructions just to be looking through them. And I can get someone to walk up and grab them. That's for the state, and that's for one for the defense. And here's another one from Mr. Hernandez. Okay. All right. Steve, who's going to be your next witness?
Will be Charlene Forrester from FDLA.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sure. How many witnesses do you have? You're going to finish today? Do you
Yes,
think?
we'll finish today.
So you've got your DNA and then your your sand expert,
Correct.
and that's it?
That's it.
Okay. Very good.
Oh, and maybe my investigator,
Okay. Very good.
litigation Kelly.
All right. Gotcha. See you back here at 2 o'clock. Well, but
She said he got
she's getting frustrated, and this is the biggest problem, is that she's trained he was licensed to jump using the bit and the reins as far as distance goes. And that's where she's really been trained, because her horse was just older and more experienced.